Thanks for joining us. We'll have those stories in just a moment, but first to a tearful and personal plea from NBC Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie and her family after the disappearance of her mother Nancy from her Arizona home, now some 3 days in and counting. Take a look.
As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen.
Savannah Guthrie addressing the person or people who presumably abducted her 84-year-old mother and referencing potential ransom notes that have surfaced. The Sheriff's Department saying it's taking those and other tips seriously. It comes as Nancy's home in the Tucson foothills was once again behind crime tape this evening as investigators searched the property. Detectives saying they believe Nancy was taken against her will overnight Saturday into Sunday, with her family reiterating she needs her medication in order to stay alive. This evening, neighbors and strangers held a candlelight service at a Tucson church. President Trump speaking with Savannah today, the White House said, to offer all available resources, while a church all the way across the country offered a $25,000 reward for information that leads to Nancy Guthrie. As part of the NBC family here, our thoughts are with Savannah and hers, and of course, we'll keep you updated. New tonight, a measles outbreak in Clark County has health officials warning about possible exposures, especially in Ridgefield. Catherine Cook's in the newsroom. And Catherine, this has quickly gone from 1 case to 7.
Yeah, David, health officials want the public to know the measles is not a benign disease. It can lead to hospitalization and death, especially for the most vulnerable. And they say the measles vaccine is safe despite misinformation.
The number of measles cases in Clark County is growing. Health officials say since late January, 1 case has turned into 7.
These cases are all connected to each other.
Public Health Director Dr. Alan Melnick says transmission in all cases happened in private spaces. However, he says the original patient may have exposed others while contagious in 2 public spaces, Ridgefield High School between January 14th and 16th, and at this Vancouver clinic in Ridgefield, January 21st.
If you're in a setting where there's a measles case and you've got 10 people who are susceptible, not immunized, 9 of them are going to get it.
Health officials noted the new cases involve 1 adult and 5 kids. These Ridgefield High School students tell us they're vaccinated, but worry about those who aren't.
But I know someone who had to stay home because of it, because they aren't vaccinated at all. It could spread really quickly, especially in high school areas.
For parents of young children, like Deja Hyde, learning the virus had spread was frustrating.
My hope is that people will start taking it more serious, and hopefully that they can start, getting their vaccinations and stuff to keep everyone safe.
Health officials say about 90% of people in Clark County are vaccinated, though Melnick notes they need about 95% to achieve herd immunity. His biggest concern is for those who can't get the measles vaccine, either because they're too young or immunocompromised.
Why wouldn't we want to protect infants? Why wouldn't we want to protect people who are living with severe immunosuppression?
The measles was declared eradicated in the U.S. about 25 years ago. Health officials believe the country is now at risk of losing that status as more people choose not to get vaccinated. David.
Now, maybe this story will make them think twice about that. Catherine Cook in the newsroom. Thanks, Catherine. New tonight, a federal judge has ruled immigration agents in Oregon must stop arresting people without warrants unless they are likely to escape. The ruling is a preliminary injunction in a proposed class action lawsuit. Among the testimony the judge heard and the arrests in question here, Victor Cruz, a Hillsborough grandfather who says he was arrested and held in an immigration detention facility for 3 weeks, even though he has a valid work permit and a pending visa application. The judge calling the actions of agents in Oregon, quote, violent and brutal, and said he had concerns about the administration denying due process. Courts in Colorado and Washington, D.C., by the way, have issued similar rulings, with the federal government appealing. Meanwhile, we're hearing from President Trump about immigration enforcement, particularly when it comes to tactics and perhaps tone, in an exclusive interview on NBC Nightly News.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals.
Well, those comments come as border czar Tom Homan announced plans to withdraw some 700 immigration officers from Minnesota, promising, quote, smarter enforcement, not less enforcement. In an update, evacuation orders have been lifted in Canby after a massive industrial explosion Tuesday afternoon. Surveillance video here showing chunks of debris raining down, leaving a trail of damage, even blowing off part of the roof. Canby's fire chief saying a high-pressure tank at Kitty Hawk Products used for making metal parts exploded. Homes and businesses in the area were evacuated overnight amidst concerns a second tank could explode, one that has now cooled down. We spoke with one man whose truck was hit by flying debris.
Wasn't sure if the building was going to come down. I walked out front, was checking stuff out, and I thought I felt the heat from the fire, but it was that thing on the ground that bounced and hit my truck. It was radiating heat. It was like I was standing next to a bonfire.
Well, 3 employees were in the building at the time of the explosion. One suffered minor injuries and at last check was expected to be released from hospital soon. Let's switch to a live look at the Rose City on this Wednesday night after an unseasonably warm day that saw some spots in our area reaching well into the 60s. Matt's here now with a look at how things are shaping up for tomorrow. I mean, hard to believe it's February, right?
60s and 70s, David. Yeah, it's really been an amazing run and it continues. Vancouver right now, though, has cooled down all the way down to 36 degrees. If you've ever wondered what an inversion means, well, 36 degrees of Vancouver at river level, basically sea level. Take a look at Timberline Lodge. It's 49 degrees. It's 13 degrees warmer at 6,000 feet than it is down here in town because of all the warm air aloft. This time of the year, the cool air will pool into the valleys and stay there. So again, just incredible warmth above us. And that did realize itself down low too. Hillsborough, new record today of 63. Right here at KGW in downtown Portland, we tied our record of 60 degrees. And up in Olympia, Washington, new record of 64 degrees. So records were falling, and again, some of the remote weather stations in the Cascades made the mid-70s. Yellowstone Mountain, that's east of Albany. Fields, that's down by Oak Ridge, east of Eugene. And then on the southern Oregon coast, about 70 degrees as well. So we'll see it again tomorrow. There are areas of fog forming in the valleys. I'll show you that. And rain and mountain snow will finally return this weekend, David.
Yeah, we need the rain and the snow. Thanks, Matt. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, the man accused of shooting and injuring 2 Portland police officers in the Lloyd district last month has now been indicted on 12 counts by a grand jury. 41-year-old Eric Elkers was back in court this morning after his initial arraignment was delayed for a week. Now, last week, Elkers talked over the judge and attorneys and refused to identify himself. Charges include 2 counts each of attempted murder, first-degree assault, and unlawful use of a weapon. Both officers, by the way, are now out of the hospital. In Clark County, police are looking for the man accused of stealing $2,400 worth of beer. Here's a look at the surveillance images. Authorities say the suspect jumped the fence at the Cascades Amphitheater on January 24th and then made off with his haul. Authorities did not specify how he got away with so much, presumably back over the fence, but say he was driving what appears to be a light blue Toyota RAV4. Anyone with information should contact the Clark County Sheriff's Office. And Multnomah County Commissioner Shannon Singleton is running for county chair, the first candidate to publicly enter that race. Singleton's been serving as a commissioner since 2024, and before that, led a homelessness to housing nonprofit and worked in former Governor Kate Brown's office. This woman, current chair Jessica Vega Peterson, will not seek re-election. Singleton will be on the ballot in November when, for the first time, voters will use ranked choice voting for county offices. Tonight, the Trump administration is investigating Beaverton-based Nike around claims it discriminated against white workers. The chair of the EEOC, that's the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, wrote in the filing that she believes, quote, Nike may have taken these unlawful actions in an effort to create, in Nike's own words, a representative workforce equal to the consumer and communities it serves. Nike's recent 5-year plan, by the way, included 2 goals. The first, to have 30% minority representation at the director level. The second, to have 25% representation rates across the workforce. So by 2025, the company had surpassed those goals, and the EEOC says the company failed to provide information it asked for in the fall. That's something Nike disputes. Quote, "This feels like a surprising and unusual escalation. We have had extensive good faith participation in an EEOC inquiry into our personal practices, programs, and decisions, and have had ongoing efforts to provide information and engage constructively with the agency," end quote. In this case, the allegations of preferential treatment were not made by workers at the company. Notably, Nike has been sued for racial discrimination in the past, but those suits have been raised by people of color. To Salem now, where a battle over Oregon's farmland is moving forward tonight with a new bill focused on agritourism. The question, when does a farm stop being a farm and turn into something more commercial? Well, at Plumper Farms in Northwest Portland, Peter Kessinger says a few seasonal events help his family maintain their farmland. This bipartisan bill would remove revenue caps and allow larger farm store structures, but the bill has opponents, with some concerned it would expose protected farmland to commercial development, potentially raise land prices, and hurt smaller farmers.
We have the public out, they're paying admission fees, they're buying food. All that extra revenue is actually just allowing us to reinvest in our business. By eliminating income restrictions, it stops us from worrying about selling one too many donuts or having one too many guests show up.
Agritourism is a way for farmers to make a little bit of extra money, not for event venue owners to have a beautiful venue on farmland. And when that happens, we start to see real farmers being priced out of agricultural land.
Hence the debate. The bill says counties can still regulate parking, traffic, and noise, and it requires that people actively farm at least half of their land. We'll see what happens.